My name is Hakeem Brown, and I can't breathe.
Hakeem and Reggie Brown are two young black boys. They were so upset with the current situation in the world, they started their own podcast. They grew up in the suburbs until their parents got divorced. They were homeless, living in the streets. Now they live in the ghetto with their grandmother. This is their story. This is Pop City Culture. Shall we begin? Let's begin.
So welcome. I am Hakeem with my brother Reggie.
What up, everybody? I got cold, man. This ain't good.
Okay, so we are here. We are two African American kids who have a
That's
podcast
us.
and talk about things going on in the black culture.
Yep, everything.
So that's what this is, and we are on Pop City Culture.
We
Thank
sure
you
are.
again for joining us. We're gonna have a great talk today, right, Reggie?
That's right. We're going to have a great talk. Oh, yeah, man. We got a lot to talk about. I helped make up this topic.
Yeah, you did, Reggie. So, besides that, what's going on with you, Reggie?
Oh, nothing, man. Everything's still chilling, taking it slow. But, there's still a lot of stuff going on in the world. You got a few riots.
Yeah, we do.
Some more shootings.
Yeah, a
but
few more.
I guess, I hope that ain't the way of life. Things supposed to be changing, but hopefully they be changing.
Yeah, that's right, Reggie. I hope they change too. Today's topic, though, it is called How Black is Your Blackface?
Oh, no, you just did not go there.
That's right, Reggie. Because you see, right now we have a problem,
We
and
got a
it
big
is the
problem.
blackface issue. So,
Yes, we do.
when it comes to blackface, what exactly do you think of?
Well, man, people putting on, black shoe polish on their faces stuff.
Well, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about it in society?
It's messed up, man. Why you keep asking me stuff like that? You
Because
know
it's our
it's messed up.
podcast show.
You know it's something I ain't gonna like.
Oh,
I
here
just
we
think
go.
it's more
Here we
than
go.
disrespectful. It's just downright cold, man. That's some gangster stuff. When you gotta go making fun of people like that.
Well, that's true. People making fun of people in blackface has been going on for years and years. I almost want to say 100 years.
Too long.
But it has spanned back for a very long time.
Way
and
too
I
long.
don't think people understand the impact of their actions in society when they do blackface.
Well, of course they don't, man. If they did, then obviously I don't think they'd be doing it.
Well, why not, Reggie?
Hakeem, because don't you think people got some kind of common sense? Don't you think people might have been brought up right?
Well, Reggie, to be honest with you, I don't know how people are brought up because we were never brought up putting shoe polish on our face and mimicking or making fun of
Well, that's a good
black
thing.
people, putting that in like a stereotypical kind of category. I mean, mom or dad ever do that?
Man, you know they didn't. Why you be asking me stupid stuff like that, man? You just get on to the next question, man. You're starting to make me sick. We just started this podcast, man, and you getting on my nerves.
Okay, whatever you want. So, I would say, Reggie, we go to school. So, but, you're in a different grade than me. And I'd like to know if they teach about racism or racial intolerance in schools. What do you think?
No, man, I ain't heard nothing about, nothing being taught about racism except for, major stuff like Rosa Parks. She was the black lady who sat down in the front of the bus, refused to give her seat up to some white dude. Then I guess she got arrested.
What else do you know about, racism and black tolerance?
Well, I know about Martin Luther King Jr. He fought for our civil rights. So, blacks and whites and everybody could go to schools and safe. Something about all the schools are segregated. Why don't you tell people, man? You making me sick, man. Why don't you better doing
Okay,
this.
so yeah, we know that there was desegregation going on years and years and years ago. So there had to be some kind of racial intolerance or racial tolerance, so people in the communities could live together. But as we see, some things do slip by, like the blackface. And I wonder if people who go to church, I wonder if they teach how people should not do blackface in churches.
Of course they don't, man. You go to church to learn about Jesus. Why would they be talking about blackface? Man, move on.
Okay. Well, Halloween is a time for dressing up, as we all know. And a lot of times on Halloween, people will dress up, well, kids will dress up in the most bizarre costumes. And in the past, as well as present, people have dressed up in blackface.
Why they be doing that?
Well, I'm just saying, it seems like parents don't really teach their kids right from wrong and what should be acceptable in society, depending on where you live, I guess. Now, obviously, if you're in blackface, it's insensitive, it's immoral, it's wrongful, and it hurts. It hurts people.
Of course it hurts people, man. Who wants to be made fun of like that? I just don't think people understand, or maybe they don't want to understand.
Well, Reggie, in order to understand, you'd have to know a lot about the history.
Well, what you got? What you got, Hakeem? What you got? I see you with a whole lot of papers there again. What you got to tell me? Spit it out.
Okay. Well, if you want to know the history of the blackface, as far as I know it, in 1830, it was started by Thomas Rice. He made a minstrel show, Jump Jim Crow, and that was about black people in everyday life.
What else you got there, Hakeem?
Well, they used black grease paint, Stein blackface paint, actually, and people thought this was the funniest show they had ever seen. You know what I mean?
Well, what'd they do? Spit it out. You're supposed to be telling me the history.
Well, the guy would get on stage, and he'd act very silly, buffoonish, and stuff like that. He would basically make himself look like a joke. And I guess back then, it made white people comfortable seeing that blacks were more of a joke than a threat.
So what you saying? A lot of white people felt threatened by black people back then?
Well, I'm not saying all black people. I never said that at all. I said it made some black people feel comfortable, but this was acceptable behavior. You see, blackface is when you smear that shiny black paint on your face and body. Then you make these big white lips, and you have a butler's hat.
Man, that's
overlined
messed up.
tailcoat saying, "Mommy, mommy."
Oh, good
and
Lord.
acting like what we call like an Uncle Tom and more. You know what I'm saying, right, Reggie?
Of course I know what you're saying. Dad told us all about that stuff. All the stuff he had to grow up with and all the stuff he saw.
That's right. So, minstrel shows were tied to comedy, mocking and making fun of black people in a stereotype manner. And it was based on a perception of how black people lived and acted.
Yo, I don't think black people acted the way you're explaining it.
Of course they didn't, Reggie. But I'm saying this is a minstrel show. This is something that this guy created, and people laughed and joined in and
Man, that
thought
guy
it
sounds
was
messed up.
okay. It stereotyped blacks as lazy, lying, buffoonish, stupid,
Jesus.
and subhuman in every way.
Oh, man, that is some cold stuff. I don't know how people could even tolerate that stuff back then.
Well, back then it was a different day. And the character of the show, in that minstrel show, was actually based on an actual black man called, I forget his name, but it was a guy Thomas Rice knew.
Man, are you
See,
serious?
he saw this black man's mannerism, his little dance or jig, is what they called it, and he reinvented it. He over-exaggerated everything about this black man, mocking him and the whole black group.
Man, and people watched that stuff and they thought it was funny, man?
Yeah, they did, and they paid a lot of money. Now, Hollywood has for a long time had a history of mocking blacks.
Yeah, I know. It's in a lot of the movies. You see them all the time and in the cartoons.
That's right. But Hollywood was accepting this and justifying this behavior in the past. The cartoons of the past showed characters in blackface.
Well, which ones?
Well, there was Bugs Bunny with Elmer Fudd. There was a cartoon we probably don't know about. It was called Angel Puss. And Tom and Jerry showed him in blackface.
Well, what about Daffy Duck? He looked black with big old lip beaks and he had a speech impediment.
Well, Reggie, I don't know about Daffy Duck. But I do know, they had some problems with Disney World because Disney made a movie, Fantasia, which I actually saw. That's an awesome movie. But however, in it did show a half donkey, half black human with big lips. That episode in Fantasia was Pastoral Symphony. And this, I forget what the name of the animal was, but it was half
You probably
half
mean
donkey,
centaur.
half black man. He had pickaninnies in his head.
Good Lord.
And even Walt Disney, the man, thought it was too racist.
But it made the cut, right? Why'd it make the cut if he thought it was racist? I mean, he is the boss, ain't he?
Well, yeah, he's the boss. But I don't know the whole situation back then.
Well, maybe next time you should be
But,
prepared.
You know, there was also the Song of the South with a black man named Uncle Remus.
Yeah, I heard about that. I even saw some clips on that on social media. The way he was talking, man, that was like improper English. He was bucking his eyes and walking with a jig.
That's right. He was walking with a jig. But, Reggie, do you think that was racist?
Of course that's racist, man. You ain't gotta be an Einstein to know if it's race. Man, you stupid again. You keep saying stupid stuff. Get on to the next thing.
Listen, Reggie, I'm not going to be moving on if you keep cutting me off. You need to sort of listen to what I'm saying. What I'm trying to say is the way the black man talked and the way he acted, many people say it was stereotypical.
Yeah, but, you know, on the flip side of that, Hakeem, you gotta admit, he was like the first black man in a star role and in a Disney movie. Does that, you know, give a pass or nothing?
Well, no, you don't get a pass for that. But, you know, some people say it was an exploitation of a black man, especially by the way he and the cartoon characters, interacted with Disney's other characters. Now, Disney recently realized that they should be racially sensitive pulling the movie, and they
Man,
did.
that just goes
So I don't know
without
if you
saying.
can see any of that in the movies again.
Oh man, you serious? So now what they gonna do? What's that called? Censoring the media or something like that?
Well, yeah, but you know, I'm going to talk about that later on, Reggie. So stop trying to get ahead of me, okay? Let's stick to the cartoons. Now, we all know cartoons are for kids. Kids can be indoctrinated in this way of thinking, especially whole generations of kids accepting this without question.
Yeah. So what you saying? It's like poison?
Well, yeah, it's like poison. It's like a drug, and it can infect people, and that's not a good thing, Reggie. Do you think that's a good thing?
Of course I don't think it's a good thing. Man, here you go again. You know, man, I'm not even going to talk to you. You keep trying to... What else are you going to say?
Well, there are movies with blackface that go way, way back. Stars who joined in this kind of behavior, putting blackface on.
Well, what kind of movies was that?
Well, there's movies like Little Rascals about a whole bunch of little kids. Now, this was a black and white TV show and movie thing way, way back. I almost want to say maybe the 1920s or 30s or something. I mean, all I know is it was a black and white movie. And there was a kid, Spanky. He was a white boy, and he was out with all of his friends, and he smeared black face paint all over his face. And the joke was that you can't tell black people apart because they're black.
Oh, man, you serious? Dude, that's gangster even back then. That just ain't right.
No, it isn't right. But you saw, every year we always watch The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and in it, there's Julie Garland. She was in that movie. And I don't know if you know this, but she did a movie where she was in blackface.
I didn't know that.
That's right. But there's other people, too, like Bing Cosby, who's like Father Christmas, Fred Astaire. He was dancing in blackface. But then there was a little girl who's very famous, awesome actress.
Who's that?
Her name was Shirley Temple. She was in blackface.
Man, are you serious? Man, there's a lot of stars out there doing that kind of blackface stuff.
Yeah, that's right. And the list goes on. But you know what?
What?
Reggie, I always want to be fair.
Well, that's good. It's good to be fair.
So let's be fair. There were black people who also did blackface too.
Get out of town, man. Who name me one person.
Well, back in the day, Burt Williams, a black man, he also did blackface in 1914. The movie was called Darktown Jubilee.
Well, why would he do something like that?
Well, maybe all blacks couldn't make money, and that was the only way he could profit.
So you saying that he was a sellout and Uncle Tom?
I'm saying I wasn't there, and I don't like to judge people. I'm just giving you the facts of what's going on.
Yo, man, that's a disgrace, man. A black man doing stuff like that?
But like I said, Reggie, you weren't there, so you don't know what blacks went through.
Man, don't be making excuses.
All right, Reggie, what about this? You make excuses for rappers saying the N-word in music, Is that okay?
Hakeem, that's different. That's showing life in the ghetto.
Well, is that an excuse? I mean, what if white people say the N-word? Do you get upset?
Man, move on. Why you getting all like this?
Okay, I'll move on. Okay.
Good, move on then, man.
Well, nowadays, we don't have the black face, but there is a black actor comedian. And I do watch him. I think he's a really good actor. Now, although he has made some inflammatory skits that mocked blacks.
Oh man, I gotta hear this.
He has a show. His name is Dave Chappelle. And one of his skits was of a blind black man who hated blacks and was in a KKK.
Oh heck no.
He said that he hated blacks, and he went on about everyone in the colors, religion, sexuality.
Man,
and
are
more
you
in the
serious?
skit. And, people were laughing at this stuff.
Are you serious, man? I ain't never heard of this guy.
Well, that's because, we don't stay up late and Dad censors everything we watch on TV.
You ain't gotta be telling
So,
people their business.
He also did make skits using the N-word. And my dad's friend thinks he's funny.
Come on,
Yeah, my dad
seriously.
thinks it's a disgrace.
Because it is.
But Dave Chappelle, he walked away from a $50 million deal to do more.
$50 million.
Is this walking away from a black man doing modern day blackface? I mean, is that what this is? Or what is it?
Well, I don't know. I mean, he was offered $50 million to do it.
Well, Reggie, do you think he should have taken the $50 million to mock and make fun of black people like that?
Yo, I don't know, man. That's a lot of money.
Well, if you're going to say that's a lot of money, well, what about the black guy who did blackface? Like I was telling you before, Burt Williams in 1914. We weren't there. We don't know the situation. However, Dave Chappelle walked away from this $50 million deal, and it might have been, I don't know for a fact, it might have been because he didn't want to feed into the stereotypes, the mocking of black people. He just made his money and got out, But like I said, many white people loved the show. Yeah, black people probably did too. But I don't know why. However, Chappelle's mother said something like this. She said, "You must be a lion in order to be the lamb you are." Now, what does that mean?
I don't know, Hakeem. Why don't you tell me?
Well, is he a sellout or did he do it for the money and got out? In any case, that's what we were dealing with. So, in movies, blackface has been replaced with up-in-your-face stereotypes. Nowadays, we never see the intelligent black man as a
No,
role
you
model.
don't. It's always
They're
something
usually
else.
thieves, drug dealers, or pimps.
Tell it, brother.
Hollywood only has a few black real superstars, and they're awesome actors.
Yeah, that's
Although
right.
I will say, Marvel, they're actually have a lot of minorities.
They
roles,
sure do.
like, right up there. They're making
It's like
some
a
awesome
breakout,
movies. They're really
breakout
on board there.
roles.
But anyways, when it comes to a lot of the blackface, there's other things too. There's portrayals of Asians as nerdy, black men as dangerous, black women bobbing their heads from
Yep.
side to side, smacking bubblegum in their mouth, Latinos with fiery hot head
I see
beating
that.
on their women,
Yep.
over obsessive Latino women with
Terrible.
long nails and a jealous temper. I mean, these are all horrible stereotypes that we see in Hollywood. So why does Hollywood portray various groups like this?
Yo, man, obviously they doing it for the money. People gonna be paying for it. So, money talks,
So people are supporting them with money. So should people support Hollywood with all this money?
Yo, I don't know, man. This is like a topic that's getting real deep. I really don't have no money, so I don't really know, but if people are out there paying for the stuff, I really got no answer for you, man.
Well, blacks have always been the first to die in a movie and the butt of jokes. Black comic relief don't need blackface because they have a blackface already. The joking Uncle Tom or comedian is normal in movies. But I really think that needs to change.
Of course that needs to change, man.
Well, because in other movies in the past, like Gone with the Wind, it showed a slave enjoying her life. She loved being a slave.
Ah, man, who would love being a slave?
Well, I'm just saying. In Gone with the Wind, that's what it was like. And in Dumbo, there were black crows that acted like stereotypical blacks.
Yeah, you're talking about the
And
cartoon.
that got a little bit of a backlash. There's other movies Fred Astaire and Bing Cosby was in. I think the movie was Holiday Inn, and they were featured in blackface. I mean, but the list goes on, But it's also rumors today. I don't know for a fact because I've never been there. But in the White House, they have black servants, blacks who serve the president, and plantation attire.
Oh,
the
you
long
did not
black
just
tails
say
with
that.
white gloves.
Say it ain't so.
They shine the president's shoes and clean them. I'm sure that's part of the job. But, it's a throwback of the Jim Crow era, don't you think?
Well, yeah, if they're dressing up like they're feeding people on a plantation, sure.
And what do you think should be done?
Well, obviously, man, I think things should change, don't you? I mean, you can't be living life like that.
That's true. Which brings us to the end of our show. And I'm going to give you some words of wisdom. We live in a world of many people, cultures, and creeds. We all bring something valuable to the table of life. That is the essence of culture. But when that culture is exploited, it is hurtful to the masses. No one likes to be made fun of or bullied. No one likes to be the blunt of a stereotype or a joke. Because when we stereotype a group of people, it puts labels on them. There are too many labels for so many groups in the world today. This must stop. When will we as a people become compassionate to our fellow brothers and sisters? When will we as a people rise up and say enough is enough? When will we take a stand against the injustice of those in power who wish to feed us the evil of stereotypes to yet another generation? When will we just show respect, value, and worth to each and every one? My father took me camping. He showed me how to make a fire. We got little twigs and lit them. He said, throw more wood on the fire. I did, and the flames grew bigger. He said, throw more on. I was a little scared, but I did as he said, as he was teaching me. The fire was so big it became out of control. I was scared. He looked at me and handed me a bucket of water. I threw it on the fire, and it went out. He told me in life, there are people who love to start fires. Then they feed the fire, and the fire gets so big it's hard to put out. You were lucky that this was a fire you could put out. That was something that day that my dad taught me. But there are many fires in the world that are not easy to put out. My dad taught me so much, and I remembered. I learned that one of those fires is called racism and stereotypes. I hope that we as a people can one day put this horrible fire out. Many people have been burned and hurt. Many of these people carry the scars from past generations. I wonder if those kinds of scars ever heal and go away. It is unfortunate about one thing. It is unfortunate that there still are many who want to feed this fire. It is time. It is time to put the fire out. So, Reggie, now it's your turn. I know you always have something to say.
That's right. I want to thank everybody for listening. And don't forget, check out the children's book called The Gay Book by Price Van Ray. He is the producer and supervisor of this show. The book is available all over the world, and you can get it on Amazon.com. It's an awesome book. I mean, everybody loves it. It's about an 11-year-old black boy who is bullied because he's gay. And it takes place in the early 1970s. I think if you all read it, you guys might like it just because it's a cool story. It talks about friendship and everything. So you guys should check that out. Thank you, Reggie.
So, we are at the end of our show. I am Hakeem with my brother Reggie, and I wish you all well. Be kind and affectionate to each other. Remember who you are. See you next time on Pop City Culture. Peace.